All right, everyone, welcome to another Shirt Lab workshop. Today, it's how to get started using art, using Midjourney. So it's artificial intelligence art. And today we were going to have Michelle Moxley help us out. Something came up that was unavoidable, and we've got the always awesome Pierre Jamnicky, who with Blue Moon, who is going to help us today because he is another expert with Midjourney, right? So there's no loss here on the skill and creativity. It's just the presenting person, right? So before we get going, I want to start leading off with about you guys being part of our group, which is Shirt Lab Tribe. We would love to have you as a member. Membership is $97 a month and covers 100% of your staff. We do a lot of stuff within the tribe. It's really a mastermind group, and it's all about focusing and scaling and getting better. We've got a live Q&A on Tuesdays and another one on Thursdays. So there's a lot of help that's available to you. Plus, Shirt Lab sponsors events just like this, our workshop. And the next slide, Pierre. And then we're also doing our summit, which is coming up later this month on April 18th and 19th. This is a 100% free virtual video course that we built called the Customer Journey. So we've broken that down into 8 segments, and we've got 51 of the best folks in the industry talking about different portions of the customer journey. So it's a video-based thing. We'd love for you guys to get signed up. That's going to be on April 18th and 19th, and you can learn more at shirtlabsummit.com. Next slide. And here is Pierre, and with his email. If you guys have any questions, you can contact him. This is my email, and of course, so if you guys likewise. So Pierre, why don't you do us all a favor and tell everyone about your shop, where you're located, and really kind of your thinking and how you're using Midjourney.
So thank you, Marshall. Pleasure to be here. So we are located in suburb of Cleveland, Ohio. We're contract-free printing shop. Won a handful of awards from ISS, SGI, and the like. But before that, I actually come from a computer engineering background, and I was an IBM business partner in my previous business. So this kind of sort of speaks to both sides of what's going on in my life and what's currently active, which is the artificial intelligence artwork. And, let's see how we can bring that into the computer world.
Great.
So, I think you might want to mention something about the sponsors.
So here's our sponsors, and we want to thank each and every one of them. Their financial contributions helps us create the content and the education that we're able to do. And even though this looks easy, everything costs money. So these sponsors really help us with that. And we would really like you, if you do business with these folks, please tell them that you appreciate their support for Shirt Lab. If you're not doing business with them, you might consider it just because they're 100% behind the industry making things happen. So big shout out to all these guys. We love you. All right, next slide. And I think this is where you take it away. So thank you, Pierre.
Yeah.
By the way, before we get going, if you have any questions or you want to contribute your ideas or thoughts, please put them in either the chat or the Q&A, and I'll be running the chat while Pierre is talking and doing stuff. And we would love your thoughts. And we're actually going to be doing some live Midjourney work, and we want your input on that with some ideas and prompts and stuff just to see what might happen. So get ready. Go ahead, Pierre.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, Marshall. So just a quick introduction. So what is it that we're going to cover today? It is important to know where we're heading, what we're going to do. So Midjourney is the software or the service that generates the art. We'll talk about it, explain a little more about it. There's a location for Blue Moon Discord server. You'll see more about that as the time goes by. We'll talk about how to actually get started with Midjourney, what it takes to get everything set up, and then we'll talk a little bit about the prompting, so how to get the best results, how it actually works, and how to fine-tune it and get the best results. It's mostly going to be focused on how to get started, and we'll give you some tools to learn how to get better, but that's probably going to be something you guys are going to have to work on your own. We'll briefly talk about some business ideas, how this can potentially be used in your company, how, I guess, whatever. So business ideas, how you can use it in your company or what you can bring in that you might not have. So business opportunities. So, and then a quick what's next. Well, that is going to be the section that talks about where to go from here and what my thoughts are on where this is going in the future, sort of as a service, as what it's offering. So we're gonna get started. There's a really quick intro video that covers this very, very, very well. The stuff that we're gonna talk about, it is very fast-paced. It's gonna be, some of the information might be over people's heads, but we're gonna revisit it and watch it a little bit later, but this is a great intro to show what it is that we're gonna be doing on the next 45 minutes or so. So.
We can't hear the volume, but so just read what they're saying, and then the link here is on YouTube, and it's just how to get started with Midjourney, and then so if you want to watch this later, you can.
On the left-hand side, of other people allows you to be
Again, if you're just joining us, we're sharing a video, and we can't hear the sound. So
But
you can
text
just
is
read
there,
this
so.
one.
body version. Images based place for learning the most popular images and the prompts used. The Midjourney free.
The trial is not active anymore. They're hoping to have it active again at some point in time. The subscription plan starts at $10 a month if it's a month-to-month, or it's down to $8 a month if you sign up for the full year.
Add it to your own server. You don't have to use the basic server to generate images. As opposed to.
And if you just want to try it out, right, I would just start with the lowest end, and then as you decide you want to use it more, you can always upgrade.
Yep. Okay. So I know this was a really, really fast video, but it sort of covers what we're going to cover here. So it gives a good idea of what is going on. So we're going to talk about Midjourney here. So what is it? It is a artificial intelligence service that generates art from text. So essentially you type /imagine, and after that you type some text and you tell it you want a donkey or a firefighter or something like that, and it actually creates the text for you. It is called a bot, sort of like a robot, but it is software only. I think it's kind of sort of like the chat program that you might have talking to some of the support sites or something like that. Currently, it is on version 5. Version 6 is in development. It'll probably be out pretty soon. It's April now. My understanding is no later than May. Sometime in May, it's going to be out. So they update quite regularly. Version 5 has been out only about 2 weeks, and so they're moving at a good clip, and the changes are pretty big. It is already very, very good at what it does. So even staying with the version 4 is pretty impressive and better than any other piece of software that is available right now. So it's pretty exciting to see what they can come up with, and let's see what they come up with. New features are released almost weekly. The 2 features we got released last week, then 2 weeks ago they had something else. So there's constantly something going on. The AI field right now is exploding. So keep an eye on it. Hopefully this is not irrelevant by the time you guys are, somebody is watching this. So the next thing I want to talk about is that there is no free plan currently. There used to be. They are running out of computing power to offer the services, so the free plan currently is not available. But for $10 a month, the month plan, you can sign up for $10 for a month, try it, see if you like it. If you do, subscribe for longer term. If not, then cancel it. So it's $10 to try it, which is really not that bad. So let's talk a little bit about what it takes to actually get that going. So the first thing is you have to join Discord. Discord is a chat program that is started as a platform for the gamers where they could talk while they're playing games, and it has since developed into something that provides text chat, voice chat, image hosting, video, all kinds of collaborative stuff. So it is a pretty powerful platform similar to Microsoft Teams, and it is being used and it's very popular. There are millions and millions and millions of people using it every day. Midjourney itself runs on Discord, and in order to use Midjourney, you will have to join Discord and then join Midjourney to get access to it. Once you are on Discord, you can do a search for Midjourney. It should pop up, and then you can just go through the joining process. Clearly, since there is no free plan anymore, you will have to process some sort of a payment, and that can be done at the location listed over here. So once you join the Discord and Midjourney and set up your payment, you can start doing the prompting. Basic prompt is what you entered in order to get the image. So the way it works is you would type /imagine, and then this upper part's going to pop up. You click on it, and then you'll get the prompt dark section shows up, and then you can start typing right there and type the text of what is it that you would like to make. If you would like to have a picture of a koala, you type in a koala and press enter, and it will come up with some sort of a picture. Basic prompts are, as mentioned, they're pretty basic. Single word, but generally they're 2 or 3 words, but they are pretty simple and straightforward. As mentioned, the imagine command is needed to run it, and this should all be done in the newbies channel because that is the place to go and get started. It is not the most efficient and the best way to start, but it is the way you should start just to get a chance to see how other people are doing it and potentially ask any questions that might be able to be answered over there.
And I'd like to also interject, when you're on the newbies channel, you can see what other people are using as prompts. And that's really a good way to learn about, hey, how did they do that? Oh, this is the words they're using. And that allows you to kind of understand some things. So
it's a great place to get started. It is not a great place to run it later on. So once you have some experience and understand how things are working, the recommendation is to go to the direct messaging, which is the section in the top left corner of the Discord. There's a little round face. If you click on it, you can directly communicate with somebody, sort of like the text messaging. without anybody else present. And so you can have a one-on-one relationship with interaction with the bot and get everything going that way. The other option is Blue Moon is hosting its own Discord server, and we have the Midjourney bot on there. If you follow this link, you can get into our server, and then we have some additional tools. And first, it's not as busy, it's easier. There's somebody who is in our field might actually be able to help you. They'll understand and be able to relate better. And we do have some additional tools there that we will talk about and certainly introduce towards the end of the presentation. So we're going to move on to the next section, which is what is prompting. So prompting is a short text phrase that Midjourney interprets to produce an image, right? It will convert whatever it is that is written into smaller pieces. They're called tokens, and those tokens each represent a piece of what is going to be in the image. The prompts can be, as mentioned before, basic prompts, pretty short, or they can be rather lengthy. We will see some of the lengthier prompts a little bit later on. Quality of the image is directly related to the prompt. Good prompt is more likely to give a better image, but it's not necessarily going to guarantee that. And we will see some of the examples and see how that actually works. So in the prompt, you would describe what is it that you want. So if you wanted, a logo for a roofing company, you could right there in the section where it says description what to imagine, you could type in logo for a roofing company. Generally, you have to ask for things that will be in the image. Stating that you don't want something in there generally doesn't work because it converts that into a token and thinks you got to put it in. So only type the things in that you want to see in the image. Additionally, it helps to put in some atmosphere. So you could say it's moody, sunrise, sunset, intense, or any other description that would give it a little more feel. There are a handful of handful of details that'd be good to include. Should probably in your prompt include a subject, and then you can go in and include the medium. Sort of, you can say, hey, I want this to be a photo, a painting, illustration, sculpture, doodle, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So pick something, a style that you would like it to be. You can talk about the environment. If you want this to be indoors, outdoors, in space or wherever, underwater, in the kitchen, right? So lighting. You can list that you would like some soft light, overcast, neon, any of those options. The more you give it, the better it's going to, the more it has to work with, and the closer that final result should be to what is it that you're looking for. Colors can be vibrant, muted, bright, monochromatic. I tend to do a lot of black and white. So that's an option. If you want an image that is red and black, that's an option too. You can add the mood and you can add the composition. So there's a lot of stuff that can go in there. The more of that you add in, the better the chances of getting something that works. So we're going to take a look at some of the simple prompts and some of the benefits and disadvantages of that. Being vague, so adding just hey, I want a horse is a great way to get something unexpected and many things to choose from. On the other hand, it's probably not very likely to be whatever it is that you had in your mind, because it does not read what were our thoughts. So, but for getting started, getting some inspiration, that's a good way to do it. The list of the things that I mentioned before, right here. So if you would like to be more specific, these are some of the elements to put in there that will help get everything defined. So once you put the prompt in and it comes out, it will give out a 2x2 square with 4 different images. And chances are it will be something other than what you expected, just because the prompt is really simple. It might be something really cool. In general, it's going to be something very, very cool, very good looking. And you might be surprised that you might end up liking something quite a bit. One For the most part, I have found that anytime I'm trying to generate something, it takes multiple generations. And I usually run through 2 or 3 iterations of the 4 images until I find something that I like that actually works for my purpose, whatever it is that I was planning. The text is broken. What does that mean? So the text does not work. It does not generate text correctly. You cannot tell it, I wanted to type this word and have it in there. That is just not an option the AI is capable of doing at this point in time. They are working on it and we'll get there eventually, but currently that is not an option. So here's an example of what happens when, let's say, you enter a prompt of roofing company. So 2 words, a very simple, basic prompt. It doesn't get any easier, right? And it spits out 4 different images. And it just randomly decided that one of them should be a logo. One of them should be somebody working on a roof. 2 of them are logo. I guess one is just a house. So it just spits out random ideas since we didn't specify whatever it is that it wanted. These particular images are from the version 4. There's a version 5 out. They tend to have different ideas of what is it that we want. And so you try version 4 and it gives you this. If you type the same words in the version 5, it will give you something different. Stylistically, you might like 5 better, might like 4 better. Chances are good that you should probably try both if you're not getting where you want to be. Once the 4 images are there, there are going to be some buttons underneath it, and you can use to upscale whichever one you like. In my eyes, if we were printing a T-shirt, this would be the best image. We would just have to pull out the text and replace it with our roofing company's name. Most everybody's printing T-shirts for roofing companies and firefighters, police, and stuff like that. So that was just an example here. Text would have to be taken out. You can do that in Illustrator or Photoshop, replace it with your own, but remove the black background and this can go on a shirt. And this is a pretty simple design that only took about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Add another 5 or 10 Photoshop Illustrator to replace the text. Half an hour, you can have a pretty good design. So let's talk a little more about the simple prompts, continue going with them. So I'm going to do an example here of how this works in Midjourney. So we're going to go ahead and switch to Midjourney.
And while he's doing that, let me talk a little bit about prompts while you're working on that. So some prompts that have worked for me are all about printing, like woodcut illustration or lino cut illustration, or also photography terms, aspect ratio, anything to do with lighting, anything to do with saturation, anything to do with it's a line, it's a block, it's I want it inside of a circle. Those are things that if you put in there, you get better results because you're kind of telling it what it really wants. Usually my prompts are probably 8 words or so ish, something like that. I've tried writing like a whole little paragraph before, and I've tried just using a couple different 6 to 8 little prompts, and the 6 to 8 prompts always seem to generate better results. So all right, so now we're in Midjourney and I'll let Pierre take it over.
Okay, so I have typed /imagine and then typed the text that I wanted, and the first one in both cases was a roofing company. One of them was the version 4, and you'll notice the top one that is still developing says V5. The bottom one has no text. That means it's a version 4. And as I mentioned, there's buttons down here on the bottom. And so let's say, roofing company, I guess, let's say the top left one sort of works for us. If we don't really like any of these, we can push the little button over here and it will re-roll that and come up with something different. Again, this is a basic prompt with 2 words. It's really limited to what it can do. So that was a version 4. The version 5 is still up there, but it seems to be more photorealistic and has a little more detail once you go to version 5.
So Pierre, share which number goes to which square, because it took me a minute to figure that out.
Yeah, so we're going to go back to the version 4, which is right here. And let's see which one of these like. So I kind of like this. Maybe it's not a roofing company, or the left one is a roofing companies, right? So this is number 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'd like to see the version 3, and I'd like to see several more variations, there's a V3 down here. You click on that, and it will recreate several, give us 4 variations of that particular image. If we click on U3, that will upscale that image, and it will give us a bigger version of that same image. The bigger version can then be downloaded and used in the artwork. With the version 4, the images are actually 2K by 2K, which is good enough for a DTG or a DTF shirt. So this is a variation that we made of that one image. We could pick whichever one we wanted. I would say the top right one looks like there's somebody working on there. The roof is open. It wouldn't be a good logo, but it would work well for you know, some advertising material, web, email, anything like that. So that is how to use some basic prompting. We're going to keep moving. I'm going to switch back to the presentation, and we're going to keep going with that. So that was the example walkthrough, and so we're going to talk about a little more specific prompts. How do we add some more detail to make it work well? It'll get us closer to the expectations that we have, but it's never really 100%. And with good prompts, I'm still having to do 2 or 3 different tries before I get whatever it is that originally I was looking for. It makes great inspirational piece if you're talking to the customer, trying to find out, hey, you know, we need art to represents this and that, and we don't really know what we want it to look like. You can generate 20 different pieces of art in 5, 6, 7, 8 different styles very quickly, and narrow down on something that, you know, what would work for them, what is it that they're looking for. As mentioned, multiple generations to make it work. So there's an example that Michelle did, which is the rock and roll t-shirt design with a guitar. The prompt, as you notice, is significantly longer once you start getting a little more specific. It's a striking graphic tee design featuring a winged guitar detailed with Rococo inspired scroll work and set against the dramatic background of flames and lightning bolts. So let's see what comes up when we submit that. And that actually looks pretty good. So I don't know if Michelle took several tries to generate that, but I would imagine I could probably get results like this in 2 or 3 re-rolls. So we're talking 10 minutes worth of work to generate artwork like this, which traditionally would take quite a long time. So this is the 4 pieces that were generated. And then this is the piece that she picked, and she thought this was the one that she liked the best. And to me, that looks like a pretty good guitar. There's not a lot of colors to be cost effective printing it on a relatively small number of shirts. So, and what's really cool is that once you have actually created that guitar in that image, you can go back into that prompt, copy and paste it and do it again, but replace what she had originally, flames and lightning, with roses and flourishes, and suddenly you get something in the same style, but completely different. And, you know, it's easy to make changes and get some other results if you're with a customer working and brainstorming, making changes and moving along into the direction and guiding them. Actually is pretty straightforward and works really well. So keep on going with the what is prompting. So we're going to talk a little about prompt engineering, which is, you know, a little more information about what goes into the prompts and how to get the best results. Again, we're getting closer and closer to the results that we're looking for. It's still not going to be 100%, but we're getting there. So I'm going to pop all of these out at the same time. And the more information you give it, you notice that the last prompt was relatively lengthy. So the more information you give it, you know, the happier Midjourney is going to be. There is a possibility of doing too much, but in general, 2-3 sentences is probably very good. Another thing that helps a lot is adding some description of the relationship between the elements that are in there. So rather than saying, I want a guitar in flames, it would be good to say engulfed in flames or straddled by flames, or flames in the background, guitar in the front. So the more of that is said, the better, the closer the image is going to be to, what the original idea was. It also helps to say, hey, I want it intense or moody, dark, bright. All of these things will help get closer to whatever it is that the original idea was, what is trying to be created or recreate something that is in our mind. It will still take multiple generations. That doesn't change. And one of the things that the Marshall already talked about is, I'm just throwing these out there because I want to make sure they get documented and easy to see. Anybody designing t-shirt designs, some of the prompts, some tokens to use in the prompting are the sticker, vector, t-shirt style, and the black background. Black background just makes it easier to eliminate the background and have just the elements that are needed. T-shirt style, believe it or not, Midjourney actually knows what it is, and it creates the artwork that looks more like something that would be on a t-shirt. Vector is if we're screen printing, that will give us some flat colors, so it's easier to separate, no halftones. They'll probably still sneak some halftones in, but that's a different story. And sticker tends to give us a nice outline that is easy to remove the background. Again, it's just something that needs to be tested. So let's go through the prompt engineering and see how things change as we go from a simple one to something a little more complex. So simple example first, we're going to try the fly fishing. Fly. So we're looking for a little fly that goes in the fishing line for the fly fishing in particular. And when Michelle submitted submitted this, these are the images that she got, and these are all pretty cool, but it's pretty. First, there's too many of them, and the boxes are probably not very usable, and they're not really very good images. There's no fishing hook anywhere on there. They kind of look it, but it's not really what we were looking for. So if it's not going in the right direction, the next step would be what Marshall did, is just change the prompt, and instead of saying fly, fishing fly, say fishing lure. And now suddenly we have multiple tokens over here, multiple words and multiple explanations. This is where the sticker comes into play pretty well, and the white background would be pretty easy to remove if this was to be printed. So we're getting closer. We got something here that looks pretty much like what we were looking for. Next step would be to actually go and do the thing that I mentioned originally, which is to go to our Blue Moon Discord server, and instead of typing imagine, you type think. And let's see what happens when we do that. We'll actually spit this really long prompt, or give you a selection of prompts, 10 of them to be exact. You click the button, select the one you want, and it will give you this long prompt. And when this long prompt is used, we got really close to what we were looking for. This is a good looking fishing lure, fishing fly with a hook, nice close up. It's, pretty good. So there's a reason to take advantage, of some of the extra features that are available through ChatGPT, which is another AI program. And there are several other companies out there that are doing stuff like that, where they're incorporating ChatGPT to get better descriptions. And we just happen to be one of them. There's no charge for the service. You log into our server and just do your generation there, and it's all free. Use it as much as you want. Training ChatGPT to do that is quite complicated. Anybody who's willing to put in the time and effort could actually get it done, but there are people that are really good at it and offering it for free. In my eyes, I think that's the way to go. Just take advantage of what's out there. So that was it for the prompting. We're going to move on to the business ideas. And This is sort of tougher because this is so new and it's moving so fast. It is really hard to tell where this is going and what's going to happen with it and how to use it properly because, you know, trying to make a piece of art you actually want is a bit of a hit and miss. And as long as that's accepted, it can be used very well for the actual art designing. I think a better, and I think actually that is a very good way to use it, but it just will require some patience in learning the prompting correctly and taking advantage of some of the other AI tools to make it work. So it will be a phenomenal tool for art design, but it will take sort of time just like it takes time to use Photoshop or Illustrator. To get really good at it, it will take some time and familiarity with the tool. But using it for a brainstorming tool with the customer and going on to the server and Discord and say, hey, what would you like? I would like this and that. So here's some ideas. You can do it in real time with the customer right there, and they can give you feedback and probably in 15, 20 minutes come up with something that is mostly done. Versus something that would be exchanging emails and trying to have somebody design it. We all know how that goes. You design something and the customer wants a lot of changes and you end up with something completely different from what you started with. So doing it real time and choosing some ideas is probably a pretty good idea and could turn into a pretty good time saver. Additionally, blog and web page illustrations, as Marshall said, he's got something coming up in a couple of days that was heavily using Midjourney for the illustrations. So it's a great tool for that, for any images that would go into the emails or on your web page, instead of now having to spend minutes, tens of minutes or hours trying to find something that is going to work and Googling the images and stuff like that. You can just literally tell it, hey, I need some pens, you know, on a table at the promotional products show. And bam, you know, 45 seconds later, you have the image that will work for your email or your website. So that is going to be one of the biggest uses for this tool, and it's being used for that already. Interesting stuff is coming up and being developed in that field, and anybody who's interested can hit me up later. It's out of the scope of this. New products. So one of the things that I have noticed is that since I started using Midjourney, it is becoming easier for us to do some things that were art constrained before. So, for example, if you are a smaller shop or your artists are too busy to spend time developing artwork in order to close the sales, that sort of kind of is not really the case anymore, because your artist can now in 15, 20 minutes create a pretty good piece of art and keep that customer. And because some of the art that they're going to be creating hopefully is being done a lot faster, there should be time to spend more time doing it. So hopefully new customers, new products. So what's the new product? So for us, I'm going to plop this on real quick, but just in the last couple of days, I've done some testing. And so, yes, we printed a one-off t-shirt. It's in the top left corner, but I needed a new mouse pad. So Blue Moon. So there it is. It took about 10, 15 minutes to come up with a new Blue Moon design. And I have a brand new, nice mouse pad that didn't take long to design. Bottom left corner is a keychain for my daughter. She's a big sloth aficionado, and she wanted a sloth, and her friend wanted a unicorn on the other side. Literally about 10 minutes worth of playing with Midjourney, and there's the artwork, and looks great. As I mentioned, she likes sloths, so there's a puzzle. And there is a makeup bag or pencil bag that I use to put the puzzle pieces in. So these are some new products that we haven't been selling because weren't really sure what to do with it, but now with sublimation, those can be plopped out very quickly. And I think, you know, it's a business idea or something that will allow some expansion. And for the most part, the artwork was an issue. I'm trying to come up with something really cool that would sell them. And this is kind of sort of tackling that. So the part in red for the business idea that is very relevant is that unless you have the high-end pro tier and select to do everything, all your art is visible to everybody who is using Midjourney, which means if anybody sees your art and they like it and they want to use it for something, they can download the original format and do with it whatever they want. They technically, legally don't have the rights to do anything with it, but they have the full original, so they can do whatever they want with it. It's going to be hard to stop them. Paying for the pro level will give you the option to work in stealth mode, which makes the artwork not visible to everybody. So if there's some issues about privacy, then you will be required to run that in a pro mode. The other thing is commercial rights are yours if you generated the artwork. If anybody else wants to use it, they're supposed to ask for permission. Midjourney has the right to use it for their marketing purposes, but officially the rights are yours. This is somewhat debated in court right now, but we'll see where it goes. There's really no reason why the copyright shouldn't go with the creator. So we wanted to talk about that. We're gonna move on to, so what is next? So once you go from the regular prompting, you go to the advanced prompting. So what are we talking about here? In the advanced prompting, after the actual imagine part, you can actually download the image or multiple images to teach you the style of your images that you wanted to generate. You can put the description of the prompts of what you want, just the regular prompt, the way it would normally be in there. But then there's also parameters. If you go back through the presentation, you'll see that in the big, long AI generated prompt that we use for that fly fishing fly, you'll see that there's several parameters at the end. There's a long list of them. They can be found. Some of the things that they offer would be the style, the aspect ratio, the seed that was used to generate that particular image. You can select to choose it as a tile, which means it will connect seamlessly one to each other, so you can make a long wallpaper with it if you'd like to. You can use blend multiple images. You can do variations within the models. You can decide to do it in the anime mode. You can do remix. There's even an option to say, no, I don't want this in there. That option sort of hit and miss, but essentially there's a ton of parameters that can be used, and they enhance the performance and the experience. So that is something that is beyond the getting started level, but I would say that using the IC bot on the Blue Moon's website, a Blue Moon server, is a good way to start paying attention to some of these prompts, some of these parameters and longer prompts, and see how it works. So since it's free, welcome to it. My guess is Marshall will probably have the same bot on his server at some point in time soon.
Before you move on here, I have a question. I know somebody was struggling with using photographs, and like they have a particular client that is a racing car, and they want to use the race car, but use Midjourney to help come up with the cool artwork, right? How can you give us an example of how to upload the photograph? Is it you have to upload from your computer? Do you find it like on a gallery on a website somewhere, or maybe your Drive or Dropbox or something? How do we get the photograph into Midjourney so we can use it?
Okay, well, let's take a look. So it has to come in from your computer. So let's say, so first thing is going to be, you're going to come in, you're going to drag that piece of art in there. Once it's in there, it's going to press enter. It's going to process it. So here's a sloth. Obviously, as I said, my little one is a sloth fan. And oh wait, is that a sloth? That might not be a sloth. It is a sloth. It's kind of weird looking sloth, but okay. So here's the sloth. So now I am going to say, hey, I would like to have something else in this particular style. So if you right click on this, you can copy the link and then paste that link in there. So now it knows where the image is. It can get to it. And then I could say, convert to black and white. And let's see what it does. So it is waiting to start. I've never tried giving a command convert to black and white, but let's see.
Yeah, so it's unpredictable sometimes.
Well, yes, and looking at it right here, it does not seem to be going in the direction. This is a great example of unpredictable.
Yeah, so what you do is you have to upload or drag the image in first, and then you get the URL of the image, and then you can do something with it.
Correct. A great example of something that did not work. So we're going to try one more time real quick.
Try convert to grayscale.
Now we're gonna. I don't know if it recognizes the command convert because it's a command. It works with subjects and objects that are tokens. Convert is something that it probably doesn't understand. So we're gonna say instead of sloth, we're gonna say racing zebra. So now it should give us something. I probably should have put a racing car or something, but it should give us something in that similar class style. And obviously I just misspelled racing.
Well, I think it might still understand that you wanted a zebra. So
Yeah. Racing car with a zebra. Rain goggles. So here's the image that we got of that zebra. That is kind of sort of similar style to what we had before. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one because that one was not really very relevant. But if we look at these two images, so not exactly the same, but you know, it's not that far off. The top right one, even the top bottom left one, these are pretty similar to what we had here. This is clearly a comic style character, where this is more of a movie, animated movie. But here's our racing car zebra. It's coming up. So wearing goggles. So this is actually getting pretty close to what we were doing before. So come on, there we go. We could add some elements in there if we wanted, supplying money and this, that, and everything else. But there we go. We just put a zebra in a race car and with some goggles on. So that was pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the presentation.
and
So that is how you get the, yes.
I was going to say, so if you're watching right now, please in the chat, just type in if you'd like for us to try anything and just to see what comes up, just put it in the chat and I'll let Pierre know. So go ahead, keep moving forward while we're waiting on that.
Okay, well, that was the business ideas, and we are moving on to the what's next part. And one of the things that I would strongly recommend is that to use the describe function, which is the opposite of what Midjourney normally does. You give a text and it gives you the image. In this case, you give it an image and it will give you a text. We'll probably take a look at that. I'm just going to walk through these first. So use the settings command. You can just type it the same way you would type the imagine, and then you can select you will use the version 4, version 5, different artistic levels and things that become relevant. So you don't have to type them and add them at the end of the instructions every time.
Can you show us that real quick? Just what the settings / settings, because that's something I learned yesterday. So
yeah,
I think that's a really fun thing to see.
Midjourney you want to use. 4 is sort of the standard. 5 is better. 4 tends to be more suitable for the t-shirt stuff that we're doing. But if you need more photograph style and more intricate detail stuff, the 5 would actually be better. Niji is the Japanese anime version, so there's 2 different versions of it. You can use that. Not sure what the MJ test ones are. So, and then quality will directly impact how much you're being charged for each one of these and what kind of quality you need. Version 4 allows for all three of the qualities. The version 5 actually does not support any of those. And then the style is how artistic do you want it to be? If you tell it I want a potato and you want a picture of a potato, you would just select style low. But if you say potato and you want a potato flying through the sky or something like that, where it's going to have a lot of freedom to put whatever it wants in there, then you would select the style high. Again, that is something that you'll change depending on whatever it is that you're doing. Normally, that is something that you would do 2 dashes and then type style and then put in the number that you want, which I think goes from 0 to 1,000. So at 1,000, that would be the 1,000 style varies to high. This way, instead of typing that every time, you just select style high, and it will add that automatically at the end. For the pro mode, you can select stealth mode, and that will automatically generate everything in stealth. Fast and relax. Fast is the standard mode. For those that are spending money for the pro mode, they can also get the relax mode, which doesn't use your time that you're paying for, because it generates when it has the opportunity to do so. The other option was the scroll. I'm going to show how that works. We have to describe will actually work and tell you what is it that it is seeing. And then those prompts, so there's 4 prompts that come up, and those prompts can be used to try to recreate something in a similar style. It's a good way to try to maintain a style. If you're a company that is sending you some artwork, or you're doing work for them and they traditionally, you can add that in there and see how Discord sees it. Sorry, not Discord, Midjourney sees it. It will give you some prompts, and that will probably come up with something that is pretty similar in style to what you were looking for. So this way you can maintain.
Hey, Pierre, your audio is breaking up a little bit. Hey, I have a question. So when you go to the main Midjourney page, can you use the /describe to get somebody's prompts that looks like a real pro?
Yes. The /describe is available to everybody.
Okay, great. Because a lot of these people say, I'm not sharing my prompts.
Yeah. Don't have a choice, because once you click on the image that somebody generate, you can get the prompts. So let's go back to the slides. We're getting pretty close to being done. So adjusting, changing ChatGPT assisted prompting. So if you clicked on one of those buttons and it gave you a long prompt, and then you wanted to go ahead and change something, generally what I end up doing is I will insert in their black background, so I can remove it from the background and make it, something you can go on a t-shirt or a keychain or wherever it needs to go. And the last thing I mentioned that we were talking about, where's all this going? And here's a video from Adobe that actually shows what is coming up and where's all this technology going. So they're showing how they can type something, it can generate it, and then just push the buttons to make the changes. So they can change the aspect ratio, and this is a really cool part. Well, they go and select this t-shirt and they say, hey, I want a red jacket in there. And you push the button and then red jacket goes in there. And this is a tool that is going to be a whole lot more usable for design professionals, which many of us are. And this will eventually be integrated into the Photoshop. So this is a tool that will be used for design work. I'm not sure how far away they are from actually doing that and being usable. This is in testing mode right now. There's a very limited number of people that can actually use it, but it is a great tool. It is where we are going. And once we get there, the whole designing part is going to be significantly easier. One of the things that I should mention is that in my eyes, the Midjourney has the style that none of the other ones can manage to get even close to. And their art seems to be more artistic. So for somebody who's looking for something that is really show-stopping art, Midjourney is still going to be the tool. They are evolving so fast and getting better. Everybody else is just sort of still working on it. Will they eventually get to the point? I don't know. We will find out. But there's a good possibility that for a while we will still be using Midjourney to generate the artwork and just wait for Adobe to catch up. And quick recap, you know, brings us to the end. So we talked about the Midjourney, how to set it up. It runs on Discord. There's links to get invited to create an account on Discord and Midjourney. We talked about the prompting, the basic prompting, the more complicated or advanced prompting, and then ChatGPT or AI assisted prompting. We talked about some business ideas, how hopefully by bringing the art times and having this great tool will make it easier to sell and introduce a new product or fill the needs that are currently out there taking a longer time. And what's next is just a list of things to work on and, you know, where we're going. This is a recap of the one that we started with. I'm going to skip that right now because we're at the end of it. You guys can go and watch it again. It will make a whole lot more sense now that we have actually gone through all of this already. And there's a link of the list of the videos and some of the information that is needed. And right now, if we have a couple more minutes left for any questions, if there are, Marshall.
Yeah, can you flip back to Midjourney real quick?
Yes, we can do that. Okay.
I think a lot of people are concerned about taking that square idea and making it into a t-shirt because sometimes squares don't make the best t-shirt designs. Can you show how to isolate? You know, for me, I've been using the prompt sticker that works well. We could also use the word isolate or whatever. Just a simple idea, like maybe like that dog in the race car with the trophy. We don't want the background. We just want the dog in the race car. So can you show how to, like, the prompts to isolate that?
Yes.
So we can learn how to do that.
I did something, and I'm going to leave it up in ShirtLab here. So today at 3:08 p.m., so 8 minutes after 3, I decided let's see what it would take to make a ShirtLab shirt, right? And so in a version 4, when I submitted, I only used a very basic prompt, which was a ShirtLab, and it gave me these 4 prompts that were really not getting me anywhere closer to where I wanted to be. And then when I tried with a version 5, well, the version 5 is a little smarter, and it knows that lab is also a dog. So it tried to incorporate a dog. It didn't know what a lab looks like, but it knows it's a dog. And this was another fail. And then I went to the think option, and I said, hey, let's try using the AI to get some of this, and generated some of those. Hold on, a little later on. Remember, we talked about how changing from ShirtLab to changing the prompt slightly, and in this case, T-shirt laboratory, actually gave us something that was getting a little closer to what we were looking for. This is still a version 4. You'll notice there's no V5 up there. This is another one that was a fail. We're right now at 3:10, so about 2 minutes and change into this whole thing. And this is the IC bot. This is the 10 ideas that it suggested. And the one that I picked was the experimental t-shirt, and I went ahead and created something. And we're starting to get some t-shirts and something that potentially resembles the lab. We're still only 3 minutes or so into it. And I kind of liked this design. It was the closest that we could get to ShirtLab shirt. I wasn't looking for a t-shirt at that point in time. And then I was like, well, let's keep working on that. Let's see if we can get a t-shirt. There is an option on our website to actually mock it up, and this is what Marshall was talking about, the big square that just looks really ugly. And once I mocked it up, I was like, let's see what we can come up with. And then so I used one of the other prompts, the surrealism one. Don't see it, but from somewhere. And what I added in there is, as I mentioned, just added the prompt that comes from the ChatGPT, and I added black background. And once I added black background, now we have something that looks actually like something that could go as an image on a shirt. We're still talking time-wise 3:14, so it's only been about 6 minutes since I started. Then I tried a couple of different versions and variations. This really didn't look like a lab. This one kind of sort of did. Tried something there with something else that didn't really work. I think this was the first one that we showed that was up in the top that was getting us closer. Mocked it up real quick on a shirt, and now because that black's going to be wiped out, this actually looks like a cool shirt, but it's really not a shirt lab. And a couple more changes in there. This is starting to get somewhere. I wanted to do a black and white one because this is a 2-screen print, underbase and a top white. If you're doing 48 pieces, it's very cost effective to give somebody phenomenal art. So I have a tendency to use a lot of black and white. And this one looked kind of cool. And this probably with some text put up in the Photoshop or Illustrator would probably be a pretty cool shirt. This was a 3:24, so we're talking 16 minutes later. And I kept going and playing with it. And I think that's it. There was a color one that I kind of sort of liked. No, it was the black and white one. So this is the one that I end up liking the best because it does look like a shirt lab. It is black and white like I wanted. Here's the mock-up. The mock-up was on a 3:26, so 18 minutes to go from start to finish by using the black background and t-shirt style. And, you know, then I would imagine my artist trying to come up with something like this certainly would not be 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
That's great. That's
Marshall, are you going to be printing these shirts and shipping them out?
No, probably not, but that's a that's a really good way to use what we're doing. I like that idea. You know, by the way, you could also, if you just say we want only a couple colors, you could say that as a duotone. That's a really great word to use, or tritoned, and that gets it down to 2 or 3 colors. And then you could say the colors that you want, like, for example, duotone, blue and gold. And then that gives you the blue and gold version of this. So,
okay.
All right, well, great. Well, hey, well, thank you so much, everyone who's watched. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Pierre, for relief pitching today for Michelle. And I'm sure she thanks you as well. If you guys have any questions, please reach out. Can you flip to the Polaroid page, which I think was the 4th slide that has your email on it, and that way somebody knows how to contact you if they have any questions. There you go.
There we go.
And
so thank you, Marshall, for the opportunity. And hopefully this is going to be helpful to somebody out there. And my email's there. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I would prefer you reach out to me in Discord because I can walk you through it right there. I am on Discord 6 to 8 hours a day with a new startup that I'm working on. So I'm instantly available and I can help with the prompting or whatever else is needed. So
great. All right. Well, hey, well, thank you, Pierre. Thank you for everyone watching, and we will talk to you later. Thanks.